Hello, welcome. Welcome back. I am coming to you live from the Zoom studio yet again. Hopefully, you can hear me. So, if anybody starts watching and you can hear me, let me know because I'm obviously, trying a new thing with headphones so that there won't be that fuzzy noise that's been in the back. So we don't want the fuzzy noise. I don't want the fuzzy noise. I'm tired of the fuzzy noise. So now we're using headphones and a mic to see if that helps. But I don't know if anybody can hear me to start with. So we'll find out. Um, Thank you, Fran. I knew somebody'd be there. I like my people. Um, so I thank you, Edie. Hi, Diane. Thank you. Okay, well, let's go. I have a smattering of things to talk about. I'll own up to the first one, the worst one right away, and that is that I'm pretty sure I showed you this months ago. I didn't I accidentally bought 1,000 skeins of crazy the last time they came in. I really tried not to. Um, I couldn't help. Thank you, Marilyn. I couldn't help it, and I bought. I'm gonna go with like 16 or 17 or 18 or 19. Definitely not 20 though. That would be way too many. Um, Hanks of the Crazy yarn, the Crazy Sport Weight, from Stonehenge Fiber Mill in Michigan. It looks a lot like. Oh, that's a pretty one. It looks a lot like this. Looks very much like this. But they're all unique. You have probably, if you've been here before, you've heard me talk about them. And I bought a bunch, and then I came home and opened the box of I don't know, a dozen that I already had. Um, and I I I sort of decided to make an Afghan. I mean, I bought them with the intention of making an Afghan because I don't already have 57 Afghans on the needles or the hook. And so a bunch of the yarns have red, and a bunch of them have, I'm going to go with teal. That's not super teal, but kind of turquoisey, and use your imagination. And then the other bunch have nope. Nope. Have green. So I I'm going first it was all red and blue. There's green in that one too, by the way. And I decided I don't want a red, white, and blue sweater either. Blanket. Edie, no, you'll get the second one. I'll have plenty of yarn. She would like a new Afghan, please. Plus, you know how to crochet. I'm crocheting an Afghan out of the crazies. And I started, get this, with a swatch. What? Didn't you say you were crocheting? Yes, yes, I said I was crocheting. I made a swatch. Is that the top? I can't read my crochet as well as I can read my knitting. Here, it goes that way. This was another, notice there is some green, but there's not red or turquoise. This is one of the other 57 skeins of crazy that I already had. So I swatched with it. This is a sport weight. It's 100% wool. It's not superwash. So this is for me, and I'm going to take very good care of it. And the dog and the cat better not snag it. Yeah, so these are just double crochets. I don't know, are they called shells? So there's like 3 double crochets, lots of 3 double crochets. And it's pretty easy, although I did come across a row and there were 4 because I can't count to 3 apparently. But this is a swatch. This is called a swatch. It's crocheted, and I made it, and it measures I got all excited and I actually threw it in some water. I again forgot to measure it before I threw it in the water. It happens all the time. I tell people they should measure it before they throw it in the water, and I tell them I always forget, and it's a true statement. So I soaked it overnight because that's my how long should you soak a swatch? My answer is overnight. And yes, it's a granny pattern. This is a granny stripe. That's what it's called though officially, is a granny pattern. I don't know what a shell is then. Is a shell like a half double, double, triple, double, half double? Is that a shell? Maybe. Um, but yeah, it's like the granny square that I was making that I still never finished. Whoops. Um, so I chained 20. Nope. Yep. And then I did this thing and then I kept going. Once you get into it, there's just 2 rows and they're very similar. It's just the beginning and the end that are different. And uh-huh. 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 Yeah. And I did it till it was square. How did I know it was square? Because I could fold the bottom up like that and it made a triangle. If it folds up like, ugh, see, it's a square. So if it folds up and you don't get a triangle, then it's not a square. Okay, shell is whatever the pattern defines it as, spoken like a true nerd, crochet knit nerd. Thank you. Yeah, so then I threw it in the water, I let it soak, took it out of the water, smushed it in a towel, pat it into shape, walked away, couldn't stand it, went and measured it. It was 6 inches square. And I thought, okay, it's 6 inches square, but I need to know how much it weighs. So it was still wet. It had only been like an hour. And I'm like, so I weighed it. It weighed 12 grams. 12 grams, like a dozen grams. Grams? Grams. Right? 12 grams. Just saying that so we don't forget that it was 12 grams. And I thought, okay, how much, there's water in there because it was wet and now it's drying. So it's going to lose some of that weight, but it's probably not going to be that much, right? So I can use the 12 grams as the weight of my swatch, right? I mean, you already know that there's a learning experience happening, a learning moment coming, right? Yep. So, but it's fine. It's all fine. It's all good. So, yep. So I did math. It's really algebra, but don't tell anybody. I did gauge math, and in my gauge math, I said a 6 by 6 square. Ooh, it's warm back there. Look at that. 6 inches. Oh, that's the wrong end. Is that 6 inches? Look at that. It's exactly 6 inches. See how accurately I'm measuring? So it's a 6-inch square. 6 inches this way too. Look, it's 6 inches, right? I can make it be 6 inches. But anywho, when it was flat, it was 6 inches square. A little bit wet. And weighed 12 grams, 12, a dozen. And so I did math and I said, if it's 6 inches square, we do math and it's 36 square inches, 6 times 6, width times height, right? Right. So thank you. Cute ruler. My mom sent that to me. It has flowers painted on it. She didn't do it. I don't know where she got it. Thank you. Edie likes my ruler. So here's how I did it. And I wrote down 12 grams wet because got to remember. And I have 19-ish skeins. I wrote down 19-ish skeins. I actually had over 20, over 24, maybe over 30. And I said they each weigh 2.5 ounces because crazy Millens like to put things in ounces just to throw us off when we're getting used to the metric system. So I had to ask the Google how many grams 2.5 ounces was, and Google said it's 70.874 something grams. So then I did more math and I said that number times 19-ish equals, and the answer was 1,346.6 something grams. So I have approximately 1,350 grams that I want to make an Afghan out of. With me so far? Any questions? So I know my swatch, my 6x6 swatch is 12 grams ish. My 19 and a half ish, my 19-ish skeins are 1,350 grams ish. If I divide 1,350-ish by 12, the answer is 112. Why? What the hell? Why did I do that? Well, 112 swatches are how much yarn I have, because the swatch area times 112 would be 13. The swatch weight, wet, times 112 will be the amount of yarn I have. So my 6x6, I could multiply by 12 in some combination. And what I did that a weird way probably, but I figured I could have 4,000 square inches. 4,000 square inches. It's a lot of square inches. So I thought about how big I wanted this blanket to be. Are you asleep yet? This is a bedtime story. It's so boring. I thought about how big I wanted the swatch to be, and I decided I wanted it to be big. Not the swatch, the blanket. It's a big swatch is what it is. I wanted it to be big. I wanted it to cover my bed. I have a queen size bed. And I was sitting in my bedroom in a chair looking at my bed, wondering, thinking, oh, I'll make it big enough to fit over the bed. I had a tape measure close by and the bed was right there and I didn't measure it. So I don't know how big a queen size bed is, but I decided to make it 60 inches square. 60 inches square. So this giant swatch is going to be 60 by 60, which is 3,600 width times height. 60 times 60 is 3,600. So I'm going to have more yarn than that because I had enough for 4,000 square inches. With me? You don't have to be, but I'm just telling you the math because I don't really have anything else to talk about today. So I had cast on 20 stitches. Remember in the way back when I said cast on, chained. I chained 20 stitches for my first row for 6 inches. So if I'm going to do 60, I need 10 times 20, right? So I did 200. I didn't cast them on though because I'm crocheting. So I chained 200 stitches. What I really needed was a multiple of 3 plus 2 that would equal approximately 60 inches. I said that right, across. So I chained 200 chains. I don't know how to say that. And then I did the first row back and ended right where I was supposed to, thank goodness. I took my glasses off and everything so I could see everything and not miss any stitches. And then did the second row. First row was just single crochets. Second row was double crochets. I think that first row was the only single crochets in the whole thing. Second row was the double crochets where you're just, you're skipping the stitches. Here, it's the green part where you're, deciding how far apart they are and how big the things are, the little grannies, little granny blobs. And then you hit row 3. I want to say rows 4 and 5 are the repeats, but who the hell knows? And I don't really care. But anyway, I hit the repeats and then I can keep going. So I'm making an Afghan. And then I also could figure out, because it was a little more math, if square inches and weight and stuff plus or minus divided by multiplied by, I figured that each skein of yarn would be 60 inches wide by about 3.54 inches tall. So I knew that if I started the first ball, I'd get to about 3.5, a little more than 3.5 inches, and then I'd be able to start the second ball. And that sounds like fast work to me. That's exciting. I get to change balls a lot, right? Did I mention it was 60 inches wide? So I'm going to show it to you in a second because I just started the third ball. Ooh, because I'm not doing anything else. All the things I'm supposed to be doing, and this is all I'm working on because it's so pretty And all I have to do is count to 3, although I don't do that successfully every single time. And I will tell you, though, that I did go back and weigh the swatch when it was dry as opposed to wet, because I thought there'd be like, a gram of water in there when it was wet. Well, it was, I smushed it out. I smushed it out, right? I smushed it out. There shouldn't be much water left in there. It weighed 8 grams when it was dry. So it weighed 2/3 of what it weighed when I did all my math. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I didn't recalculate. I don't know if it's going to be bigger or smaller. I don't know. I don't know. I can buy more yarn. I work in the yarn shop. We have more yarn. So I could think about it and figure out if it's going to be bigger or smaller, but I don't really care. So sometimes I just am done with the math. Whoops, where did I go? Here I am. So the first, remember we had red, things with red in them, things with turquoise, teal, turquoise in them, and then things with green in them. And preferably like a yellow green and not, oh look, it's 6, Fran, thank you. Fran says a queen size bed is 60 inches wide. Look at me. I looked at my bed and thought 60 inches sounds good. Yeah, and it was 260. They're all like big round numbers, and I just went for it. I just knew I actually used a calculator and figured out that I'm 67 inches tall, so 60 is 5 feet. 60 inches is 5 feet. I'm also 60 years old. When I'm 67, I'll be as tall as I am old, or as old as I am tall. Have I mentioned I haven't eaten yet today? Whew. Yeah, Edie still wants an Afghan with all my extra yarn. So, oh, I don't know why I'm showing that. So this is what I have. So the first skein was reds. And look, there was, and I made a rule that I'll wind the yarn. I won't really pay attention to which end I start winding the yarn with into a center pull ball, and then I'll pull from the center, regardless of whether I like the outside better than the inside or not. I'm going to always pull from the center, and I'm not allowed to aim a certain color toward the center. I just have to start the winding. And I'm not allowed to edit out any yarn, any colors, because I have done that in the past. I don't want brown, so I'll edit out the brown. By edit out, I mean cut it out. Like, don't include that part. Just cut the yarn. So I had red, and look what happened in the red. It's like, that's not even a marl. It's just white and white. And I left it in because I'm a big girl, and that was one of my rules. And the next ball started right there. Can you see that? Yes. It was a red skein, and then it went to the blue skein. Is that correct? No, I don't think it is. Yes, I think it is. Yes, because the red was red and white, and then that's blue and pink. And I spit spliced. Wow, that looks really pretty. I spit spliced so that I don't have to weave in any ends except the very first one and the very last one. So that was the second skein, was the blues. So it started with these dark blues, went to the light blue. Wow, there was a lot of the light blue. Look at that. And then it did the pretty turquoisey blue, and then at the very end it had some darker blue. Look at that. That's really pretty. And then skein number 3 has green in it. So there's my green. I'm on the 1, 2, the third. I'm on the 3rd row. Just started the 4th row. Look at that, how pretty it is. Woo! So there's my blanket. So in a perfect world, look at that. It would be 7. It should be about, I don't know, at least 8 inches tall right now. And it's showing me 8.5. We can do this so you can believe me. Woo! 8.5. So yeah, so I got more like 4 inches out of the first ball. And oh my gosh, 4 inches out of the second ball. So there you go. I'm getting 4 inches out of each ball instead of 3.5. So I can go to 80 inches maybe. Woo! And cover my whole freaking queen size bed. That would be nice. I don't really care. It's so pretty and it's really soft, and I'll probably do something wrong, like throw it accidentally in the washing machine, but I'm very happy. It takes forever to get across a row. And so far, the one time that I've noticed that I did 4 double crochets instead of 3, I actually did tear all the way back to that previous spot and made it a 3. But I'm like, I don't really need to do that. That's ridiculous. But I don't know. We'll see if I do it the next time because there'll be a next time. So there was my math. There was my swatch. There's my blanket. Everything's perfect except, I measured my swatch. I weighed it when it was wet. So who cares? So that's that story. So I'm supposed to be doing all these other things. And one of the things I'm supposed to be doing is finishing this Christmas stocking. So I'm just going to show it to you. I don't know if I've actually shown it to you before. I know I've mentioned it before, but there might be a needle in here. I don't know. But this is for Pete, and Pete's wife's mother was making this for Pete, and she passed away. Not because, well, it might have been because of the Christmas stocking. I actually don't know. I'm going to go with not because of the Christmas stocking. So Pete's wife came across this and asked if, I don't know if I'm telling the story correctly. Let's pretend I am. Wanted to find somebody who would finish the stocking, right? That her mother had started making for Pete. Pretty sure that's a true story. So, yeah, I don't know. So I, because I'm me, I said yes. Now I'm reading a book about setting boundaries. It's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It's great. I'm going to say no. I already said no. Bye, Edie. I already said no to one stocking, and I got to say no to all the things and do my own things like, crocheted Afghans. So the problem was that the stocking was done to about there, the top half of Santa's head, but there wasn't any more yarn to finish the stocking. And it's an old green yarn that doesn't exist anymore. There's no way I could have matched the yarn. So I had to start it back here. I had to tear it back. So it looks pretty wiggly because it was already knit with. And I'm going to steam it out and, fingers crossed. But so I went back to the here, to the here, and knit the stocking. And look, it's done, but I have to obviously weave in some ends and sew up the seam and steam it. So I'm showing it to you because that's what I'm supposed to be working on instead of a crocheted granny Afghan out of many skeins of green, red, and blue crazy millens. I don't know if we're allowed to call it millens anymore because now they do it on purpose. It's not necessarily millens. But I want you to hold me accountable, and I want to be farther. It's obviously not due yet, and it was actually supposed to be due for last Christmas, but the person that I'm making it for, who hired me, the wife, the daughter of the person who was knitting it, ended up stuck somewhere else because of COVID for Christmas. So she didn't need it for this past winter. So I was like, oh, fine. And I threw it in a bag because it was supposed to be done for that winter, last Christmas. So now it's due this Christmas, and now it's already July, and it's done, but it's not done. So I would like to get that out of my life. So I need a deadline or something. So I'm asking you guys to say, if I don't mention it next week or whatever, ask me how that stocking's coming. One of these weeks I can't do Monday Facebook Live at 5 because I'm working at the shop. But I don't think it's this coming Monday. I could be wrong. You'll find out because I won't be here. I'll be at the shop. So that's the second thing I wanted to show you was the stocking. The first thing was the Afghan that I want to work on. The second thing was the stocking that I need to work on. Oh, Fran asked a question. When you find the book you like that talks about doing what you're supposed to do before starting a new project we want to do, let me know. Let me think about that. When you find the book you like that talks about doing what you're supposed to do before starting a new project. So like a time management reward system I've been told I've been told things like this. Allow yourself to do something fun at the beginning of the day, and then you do the work thing. I've also been told do the work thing first and then reward yourself with the thing that you'd rather be doing. So that's what we call conflicting information. And neither one works for me. Uh, yep. And then this morning actually turned into I had to go to a friend's house and sit there while a tow truck came and towed her car away. And it took 2 tries with 2 different tow trucks to make it happen. So, but guess what? I took my Afghan along and crocheted the Afghan and got like 3 rows done. Could have taken the Christmas stocking, but didn't even think about it. Well, yes, I did actually. Chose not to. So that's now you know where my priorities lie. Always in the fun new rainbow thing. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to do. Oh, there's 2 more. Okay, the second to last thing, the penultimate thing that I want to do is the following. So, whoever's watching this, there's a woman named Kim McBrien Evans who was teaching a class this past 2 weekends for stitches. I was also teaching a class for stitches, in case you hadn't heard. And she gave a presentation a few nights ago that I watched, and it was on size inclusivity in the knitting and sewing fiber, you know, knitting, crochet, whatever, sewing industry, and how the and then see, it's hard to pick the right words. The upper ranges of sizes are not presented proportionally correctly, nor are the smaller ranges, probably, except we see those more often. And in fact, they stop short the upper ranges of some actual people sizes, so that they should be extended. So she's doing, I hope that made sense. So she's doing a project I think she said she's got 2 years into it already, whereby she is collecting data from real people who are of a certain size and above, to help make size charts that are real people sized on the upper end. Upper, because the numbers are bigger. I don't know. It's a more polite way to say that, probably. I am aware that bigger or larger can be not the right word to use. So I'm trying upper. But anyway, so she has a website. So she's looking for, and by the way, from her data that she's researched, she's discovered that a size 18 is an average size in the world of women. And I don't know if it's US women, I think it was North America, actually. I do think it was North America that size 18 is average, except I don't know what bust size that is. I'm about a 14, so I'm a little bit under average. So she has a website. I'm going to actually, or a web page. I'm actually going to go over here and make sure it works before I put it in the chat. Ooh, it did. Okay, so I'm going to link that in the chat or copy it. Her business name appears to be Indigo Dragonfly. I haven't, where'd you go? Nope, you're in the other browser, in the Google. There you are. Hi. So she, copy, paste. There. I haven't gotten a chance to explore all the things. I mean, stitches ended last night, so, and I, had to go get a car towed this morning, and I don't know, there've been at least 2 meetings since then, and I had an in-person meeting. I don't even know, but it's Monday though. So I haven't been able to investigate all the things yet, but she, her business name, like mine is Sarah Peasley Hand Knitter. Hers is, I believe, Indigo Dragonfly, and that link brings up a bunch of blue things to click on, and one of them says measurement survey. So sorry. So if your size, she's looking particularly for larger sizes. Are you kidding me? I didn't write it down. Okay, I think she was looking for people who measure larger than 55 inches, either in the bust or the hip or the belly or at any point. If you measure more than 55 inches, she would like your data, please, for the good of all the people. So I'm sharing that link. I don't know that she'd object to other sizes as well, but that's where she needs more data in order to continue working on her size charts. So thank you for listening. That's my public service announcement. And I tested that link and it worked, and it brought up her logo. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't write it down. I think 55 inches around or larger in any of the areas that you would measure. And then I want to do a book review, a very quick book review. This is, and I had posted it on Instagram and Facebook. Boop. Woo, 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 woo. So Myra Wood, who's a friend of mine, she's a pretty good friend of mine. I met her through teaching at Stitches. We've become good friends. She wrote yet another book. She's got books on crochet. That might be all that she's got books on. But she's got a bunch, and she also has a bunch of craftsy classes. Some are crochet, I believe some are knitting, some are beading. And she's currently into weaving. Ooh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Marilyn. I will probably forget. She suggests that I post the link for the data, for the size data on the Michigan Knitting website, the Pure Michigan Knitters, I think it's called. That's a really good idea. But anyway, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep. This is a book about rigid heddle weaving. Now, rigid heddle weaving, a lot of us have done, plain weave scarves, or we might have used some pickup sticks and made a woven piece of some kind. And this is different. It's still a rigid heddle loom. It's one pickup stick, and it's a way to do it's called overshot weaving. Overshot weaving, which is you're making kind of two layers of fabric, sort of, that are intermeshed. There's your basic fabric that's through the whole thing, and then there's your pattern fabric that makes the design. So, for example, the navy blue is the background fabric, and it's through the whole thing, and then you're following a chart, boop, boop, for the pink fabric. And do you see how it kind of carries over more than one warp thread? Warp is the up and down thread. And it makes that design. And then on the back, if you follow the chart, you get it's a reverse image. It's not exactly a reverse image, but it's a reverse image. You get wherever the floats aren't on the front, they are on the back. So it'll be equally lovely. I'm trying to see if she has a picture of front and back somewhere. Probably not there. So here she is following the chart. It's just a regular old rigid heddle loom. It's one pickup stick. It's totally doable if you've done any rigid heddle weaving. And my favorite, of course, is the rainbow one that she did with scraps. Whoop. And you can see her dog Bean overseeing the whole deal. Here's a pillow. Yep. Oh. And the charts they're just charts. They're square charts because it's weaving, as opposed to not square charts like you would use for knitting because, more rainbows. I'm all about the rainbows. So I have a rigid heddle loom, and I would very much like to, use it sometime. Is that yeah. Yeah, so let's see. That one too, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is one side. of this fabric. And then this is the other side. So it's equally beautiful. And I don't know if I can get them both there at the same time so you can kind of see like look at the yellows or the X's. I mean, that's not the same X. Let's see. This way. This way and over here. There, the blue X's with the purple in the middle. Can you see them? They look slightly different because one's the front and one's the back, I believe. It does look like Fair Isle. Yeah, so matter of fact, you can use Fair Isle charts to do this. It's super cool. I haven't done it. Oh, by the way, I edited the book. That's why I have a copy. So it's only available on Amazon as a book. And the reason is because she worked very hard and very diligently doing all the research with a lot of independent printers, small indie printers, to try to have a book that was published printed. Not locally. The one she settled on was in California. She used to live in California, but now she lives in Philadelphia. And she tried really hard, found a guy. He was really nice. Everything was wonderful. She paid for 500 books. He printed them. He sent her the books, and they looked horrible. They looked horrible. They were bad. They were horrible. So she pitched them. And she did it through Amazon, through the Kindle printing thing that I don't know what it's called, because it was way cheaper. It was higher quality, and it worked, and it didn't suck. It's beautiful. Like it's got a spine. That's a word I was trying to find the other day. The one that the guy did was just stapled so that it never closed all the way. You know, it did that thing where it just bows out where the staples are, and then it would never lie flat either, whereas this lies nice and flat. Whoop, whoop. Not flat, but open. So, yeah, so it's available as a physical book from Amazon. You buy it, they print it, they mail it to you. It comes very quickly. It has great reviews from important weaving people, and you can buy it from her on her website. Oh my gosh, I should go find that. As a PDF, as a downloadable PDF with links, that throw you around in the book. Let's see. Is it myrawood.com? Waiting. Yes. So I'll link that too. Look at me finding all the links today. Back to you. Put that in. So it's based on different kinds of weaving that have traditionally been done on a big loom, a big floor loom with lots of different, I don't know, I'm not a weaver, but I've edited 2 weaving books now, two weaving books now. So neener. But, so I understand it. I just haven't done it. So traditionally, and there's a bunch in the front with the history and where she got her inspiration. And then there's basic instructions that apply to all the pieces. And then there's the patterns. And she's working on a second book that will have more patterns and like garment type things. Because these are all table runners, mug rugs. I learned about mug rugs, coasters, pillows, placemats. So what was I going to say? Oh, so it's based on, it came from, this more complicated stuff you do on a big loom where once you put the pattern in, you can't change it. Like that's the pattern. It's set with the different heddles or shafts, weaving words. But this one, you place the pickup stick for each pattern row. And so every pattern row can be different. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is warped to be a certain way through the whole thing, except the warp, which is that's that fabric that runs all the way through. Kind of. That's the warp part. Anyway, the warp runs all the way through. But it's super cool. It makes perfect sense. And apparently nobody's thought of it before because everybody's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that. And there's a woman, was it here or was it? So she met a woman, a woman found her that lives in the Azores. I think maybe I talked about it here last Monday, or maybe I talked about it somewhere else, but there's a woman in the Azores who teaches weaving classes. Apparently the Azores are islands off of Portugal. We don't know about the Azores here. And so she was like communicating with Myra and saying, "Do you mind if I teach this? And, I want to do this with it and this with it." And Myra's like, "Yay, go for it." So it's super cool. So back to, you can get the physical book on Amazon. It's 1855, or not a whole lot of money, 18 something. I don't know. Mine was free because I know Myra and I edited. So technically I had to put in hours and hours and hours of work to get the book, but it was worth it. Or you can get the PDF from Myra, which with an assist from Benjamin Levasseur from Stitches, because he did all the hot links that are in there. They're called hot links, which sounds like hot pockets, but they're not the same thing. Yeah, and so that would come instantly because she just, you just get a link to or you just get the PDF. But then you don't have it to hold in your hand, and you'd have to print things out. But some people like that, or do it on their iPad, the charts. I wanted to say something else, but I don't know what it was. Oh, so Fran says, put a bug in her ear to teach this at a Stitches at Home. So here's the thing. She probably is going to. Next month, which is August, or maybe it's going to be in September. I forget. She's going to do a presentation on it. At Stitches. Sorry. The next Stitches, either the August Stitches or the September Stitches. She's doing a presentation, and then Benjamin is putting the pressure on her hard to teach a class in it. And she's willing. She just she didn't like Zoom when it first came out, when we all had to start learning to work on Zoom. She had some issues, some very valid issues. She recently got a new computer, new everything, and so she's working on getting familiar with it, and will probably be teaching a class probably through Stitches in the next, I don't know, probably not the next 2 months, but probably by the end of the year, I would think. So there you go. So yeah, fire up your dust off and fire up your rigid heddle loom and figure out basic weaving, and then then it'll be a cinch to learn this technique. So I expect, and she called it Crazy Shot, but she didn't really call it Crazy Shot. She called the book Crazy Shot, which is great because she has a book called Crazy Lace that she wrote. So I like that it follows with that. But it's really creative overshot weaving on the rigid heddle loom. That's actually what the technique is called, is overshot weaving on a rigid heddle loom. So there you go. I think I'm done. I know I'm done. I think I'm done for the day is what I was saying. That's exciting. So guess what I'm going to do? I don't know, but it might involve some shepherd's, I keep saying shepherd's wool, some, I don't know. I should probably find some food. Oh, so my refrigerator's dying. Right now it's working perfectly, but it beeped at me for 3 days straight, almost 3 days straight, maintaining temperature the whole time, cold temperatures. And then all of a sudden yesterday, it stopped beeping. And within half an hour, I got a phone call, and it was the appliance repair guy finally calling me back. And I'm like, yeah, now it's working. But he's a great, it's Chris from Ace Appliance. I think he's out in Holt or something, but he's amazing because he'll just talk to you on the phone and he'll say, you know what? You need a new refrigerator. He won't try to fix it and make me pay money for something that it would be better to just replace it. So I'm also replacing my dishwasher, and I'm also replacing my dryer. That's completely dead in the water. Dishwasher makes things wet. They're not clean or dry, but it makes things wet, so it's still working. And the fridge is still keeping things cold, but I really don't trust it since it beeped at me for 3 days. And flashed. All the things flashed. There were 0 error codes, but all the lights that it possibly had on its computerized front panel were flashing at me. So next fridge will not have a computerized front panel, so that can't break. It'll just be a fridge and freezer, combo thing. So there's that. I've learned, and I asked Chris, I'm like, what brand should I get? And he said, not LG or Samsung for kitchen appliances. So there you go. He said anything else is fine, and if you don't need a computerized doohickey, don't get a computerized doohickey. Just get what you'll use. So that's what I'm going to do. And for dryer, no, dishwasher, he said Bosch if you can afford it. So I have to look at Bosch's and see how much they are because they'll last forever. He said, how long you plan on staying in the house? And I said, well, I just turned 60 and I want to die in this house. So that'll be 120. So 60 more years. He said, okay, get a Bosch if you can afford it. And then the dryer, he didn't care. Like, just get a dryer. So that wasn't helpful. Yep. I don't know. There was something else. Yeah. So that was my week. Beep, 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 beep. It's like if you press the button on the microwave and it goes beep, 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 beep. That's what the fridge was doing. No, just random beeping constantly that fast. And oh, and then it would shut itself off. That was scary. And then it would turn itself back on within like 30 seconds. Yep. So there was that. And yes, I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Yes, I turned it off and turned it back on. So we're looking for appliances. Anyway, that was fun. That's a fun bonus for you, is hearing about my woes. All right, I'm going to end. I'm going to go find food. It's 5:46. Time to feed the dog. And I will see you. I'll either see you next week or I won't see you next week. Here, let's find out. Hold on. Is it next week that I'm working on Monday? I don't know. Oh, today's Monday. That was confusing. That's why I'm on the Facebook. Yes, I'm working next Monday. So I lost you. There you are. I'm working at the shop next Monday till 6, I think. I don't know what the hours are on Monday. So I will not be here at 5. You'll have to live without me. Hopefully the sound was better. I'm taking off. Have a nice week, and I'll see you maybe in 2 weeks. Bye.